Colt Brennan throw the football today. Colt, done with practice, sitting down at the end of the table. Colt, first of all, you and I have never met, I've never talked to you. I want to look at you and say congratulations on a fantastic senior year. That must have been a lot of fun. Number two, it didn't end on a great note. How did what happened against Georgia on New Year's Day in the Sugar Bowl affect your view on this week?
Well, actually, it did a lot of good things for me in a sense. I kind of looked at it like that saying, it's rather to have loved and lost to have never loved at all. And I'll always be able to say I went to the Senior Bowl my senior year. I think as a team, we didn't do what we needed to do to prepare ourselves for the game and understand the environment we were walking in. But I looked at that, and I think it really showed us how far we came as a football team. And, watching how kind of, Coach Jones had to leave and our athletic director, getting fired, it kind of shows, what we overcame to get to that point. And, I think we'll always be proud for what we did and the experience we had down there. And Georgia's a great football team, and they hit us right in the mouth. And the best thing about that is now I'm really driven this next 4 months to really prove people that I'm a good quarterback that should be playing in the NFL.
Nice job with the literary reference, first of all. I like that. Secondly,
he just graduated.
Cool.
We got to give the top class education University of Hawaii.
Communications major he jumps in. What a surprise.
Oh, shocking.
They all want the job, Charles.
Yes.
Now, when you watch tape, and I don't care whether it's Hawaii or the University of Delaware or any of these other spread offenses, you all do it a little bit differently, but the bottom line is more and more quarterbacks are coming out of college without being under center, without dropping back and throwing the football. Last year, this particular day, we had Kevin Cobb from the University of Houston, and he talked about, candidly, how difficult it was and how much harder it was to make that transition from being in the gun, what he's used to coming out here and doing it a lot differently. He said, man, I thought I prepared for it, but it's harder than I thought. What do you think with this transition?
Well, luckily, I grew up in Southern California with coaches like Bob Johnson and Steve Clarkson, and, grew up with Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart underneath center playing the West Coast offense. I went to Colorado to play the West Coast offense, so I do have a good experience with it. It is a transition, though, and I'm feeling myself getting back in the rhythm, but I did have a lot of experience with it as a young kid. So for me, I don't think the learning curve is as difficult, and I've been able to come out here the last couple of days and at least show that I can get it done. So hopefully people can see that I'm not the type of kid who's been in a spread his whole life.
But what's the most difficult part of that transition?
A lot more with like the verbiage and having to call the plays and understand the way the systems run. And obviously now, when we ran the ball in Hawaii, it was a lot different. Now you have to have check runs. You have to understand, the box now, which I never really had to look at it in college. So
the box, you were always throwing outside the box.
All I looked at was safeties and corners. So there is a learning curve, and I think it's just preparing yourself and then getting the reps and getting familiar with it.
Cole, when I was preparing for the Sugar Bowl and your game with Georgia, one of the things we talked about with Coach Jones and, of course, with you was how intelligent your receivers were, how fluid they had to be, where they had a pre-snap read, when the ball was snapped read, and then as they got into their route read, and you were on the same page with them. How has that transition been from what you were doing with Coach Jones to what you're doing now? Are there any similarities that you tie into it?
Well, luckily, from the pass standpoint, I feel like I'm one of the more advanced guys out here because I've seen almost every coverage and I've almost thrown every ball. But at the same time, it's more rhythmic when you're under center, and I have to slow down my drops now and get on time with the receiver. So basically, you just got to kind of familiarize yourself as much as possible, but it is different than what we did in the run and shoot.
Colt, from the time you walked out here today, Mike Martz, even before practice started, he was coaching you after every drill, after every rep in 7-on-7 on team. I know you can't remember everything he said, but can you share some of the tips that he shared with you today?
Yeah, he kept saying that I'm just too fast right now, that I need to slow down a little bit with my drops. I'm next to Eric Ainge and Woodson, and they're the 6'5" guys. When they drop back, they get a lot of depth. And I got quicker feet, so he's trying to get my depth and trying to get me to just calm down my drop right now and get in more rhythmic and a more rhythmic style. And he's just on you, and he's on you every play, every time. And what I was told was that if he's coaching you, that means he likes you. So he was on me all day today, so hopefully that's a good sign.
But he likes you a lot. There's a lot of love.
Really, let me tell you.
Now, Cole, I watched a lot of tape. I think 4 of your junior tapes, 5 of your senior tapes. I think I know what you do well, and I love the way you slide your feet innately in the pocket. I don't really care if you throw sidearm. It doesn't bother me at all because you find the lane, you have confidence with delivering through the lane. But the question I have is when you got to drive it outside the numbers, and we saw play-on-play action here toward the end where you looked play action for the deep route front side. You came back, I thought, real late and then tried to throw it down the field and couldn't get it there. Take me through that progression.
Yeah, well, we had two seams on the right, and if it was zone, I was going to go 1-2. In the backside, I was supposed to have a dig. unfortunately, the receiver ran a deep 9. I came back to him, and I was kind of, what do I do?
Where's the dig?
I tried to back shoulder him. I tried to put it out there for him, but, that's what happens out here. And when I turned around, the coach looked at me, he's all, don't worry about that. And sometimes you can't see that, watching, but that's just what you have to do. You have to overcome it, and it's not a big deal. And hopefully, people understand what we're doing out here and what we're going through.
Colt, you have your degree, so congratulations first and foremost on that. Now, as you get ready for the professional game, you've been working out back in California, I believe. You have a personal trainer that you're working with, some quarterback coaches. Tell us what that's like. And I know that for us, we were there for the weigh-in day. Yeah. And you came across the stage, and we heard 185, and there was a buzz through the room about, whoa, 185, does this kid... food, Colt food. When are we going to get to that?
Yeah, well, I lost some weight this year from the season because it was a rough season. I had to do a lot of more things that were asked of me this year. But unfortunately, I got the stomach flu this past week. I was up to about 195, fluctuating, and I lost everything I'd been gaining over the last week and a half of training. I tried to get it up as much as possible. I don't know, when traveling, coming out here, I just wasn't eating right. I was just as surprised when it came across 185, and I was wondering maybe I stepped on the scale wrong, so I couldn't believe it. I don't think I'm 185.
So guys, what I've discovered is I'm one good stomach flu away from fitting into my clothes properly. That's what I need,
Hey, Colt, just to kind of finish what you and I started a minute ago as far as driving the ball outside the numbers, because I want to hear it from you. I've watched the tape. I've talked to the people around the league. And do you feel, and arm strength is always an issue in the NFL, I think it's overdone, but it's a question that's out there. Tell us about your arm strength and what you feel your strengths and weaknesses are.
I think I have a very strong arm. I think one thing I'm going to have to learn, though, is the new type of footwork and then balance it out with my arm. In the shotgun, I could just gather myself and then fire it.
Right.
Now it's all timing. It's sitting on your back foot and being able to fire it. So it's different. I just think if the more reps I get, the more familiarizing myself with it I get, I'll have, more confidence and my ball be right where it's supposed to be, hopefully.
Final question for you here, Colt. Was there one receiver, a lot of good receivers out there, but one that really stood out to you?
Man, there's a lot. Obviously, Lyman Swede, DJ Hall, I played against him as a sophomore. It seems like every time I look up, there's a great receiver out there.
You better name them all.
Yeah, I all going to come back.
Donnie Avery,
Caldwell. Caldwell was very good.
Early Doucette. Otherwise,
Doucette,
the trouble with your receivers, watch this, say we ran out of time, you couldn't get to everybody. You were going to mention all of them.
We got
it's
our
fault.
We'll tell you.
And we'll get the O-lineman when you leave.
Colt Brennan, the All-American quarterback from Hawaii. Good practice today, and thanks for spending time with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, for Charles Davis, Mike Mayock, I'm Paul Burmeister. It's been a great day here inside Ladd-Peebles Stadium. We saw not one